Chapter 4. Turns out there's another trail that zigzags down the side of the canyon, and like the one we followed to get here, it's extremely worn and even flat out fades away completely in some places. But it's easy enough to guess where it's going when it does, and we make it to the bottom in no time. Then we head toward the gray square in the middle. Along the way we stop at an emerald vein or two winding along the ground. They're all so tiny I can't even stick a part of my shoe into them. And when we hunch down, we can't actually see any emeralds or emerald deposits below the surface like Dad said. They must be too far down and the channel's too dark and narrow. All we see is a tiny hint of green far below. These are why Mom wanted to come here? I ask as I squint down another boring vein as we continue along. Yeah, beats me too. Maybe they're bigger and brighter in other canyons or something. I sure hope so, or else Mom might be starting to lose her sanity or coolness. Pete rolls his eyes. Yeah, I bet it's one of those. Finally we make it to the gray square, which looks to have a width of about 6 or 7 feet in the middle of the canyon. Well, Pete says, you're right about one thing. It looks to be a tiny, gray, boring thing nobody gives two cruds about. Seriously. I step on the square, bend down, and place my palm against its smooth, firm surface. Yeesh. I immediately yank my hand away. It's insanely hot in the sun, too. Concrete, and it looks like it used to be totally covered with red dirt so you couldn't see it at all, but most of the dirt's eroded away. I was just thinking the same thing. Of course he was. So what do you think it's for, I ask. I mean, what do you think it actually is? Pete adjusts his glasses as he grinds his teeth, even slightly barring them this time, which means he's really thinking intently. It always makes him look a bit like a wild animal. I hold back a laugh as I open my water bottle and take a sip. Well, I say, I have no clue what it is, but it'd be kind of cool if it was like the top of some underground building or something. You know, like a huge one some scientists built to study the emerald deposits under the canyon or something. Pete's eyes sparkle as he looks up from the square. Heh, that's such a cool idea. You have such a great imagination, Sandy. Huh, yeah, right. Although, I say, the fact the square looks like it used to be covered in dirt almost makes it seem like it's a secret building. You know, like maybe built by a top-secret government agency or something to do or study something they didn't want the public to know anything about. I mean, we are out in the middle of absolute godforsaken nowhere here. Pete's eyes widen slightly, his glasses making them appear even bigger than they actually are. Now that would be kinda creepy. His hands tremble a bit as he shoves them into his pockets, a telltale sign that he's a little scared. Aw man, I got the poor little guy a bit worked up. I didn't mean to do that. I grabbed for something kind of ridiculous, silly even. Yeah, I say, some huge top-secret building where all you have to do is say something incredibly dumb like "Open Sesame," and the square thing slides right open so you can go inside. Open Sesame, I yell in my best impression of Dad's cheesy voice. Suddenly, the ground starts to move, super fast, only it's going up. Pete immediately jumps off the square. I cry out and stumble off the side, landing hard on my butt in the red dirt, my back slamming against the ground next. Pain stabs through me, but I barely notice, keeping my gaze glued to the concrete square as it continues to rise, higher and higher, eventually revealing what looks like a pair of metal elevator doors. Then it stops. What in the... A short silence rolls through the middle of the canyon. All I can do is stare at the doors. They slide open with a light squeal, what looks like a cloud of dust puffing out of the hollow interior, which is all shiny metal. Well, it definitely looks like an elevator. I glance at Pete, who's standing a couple of feet away, his gaze also glued to the doors. His whole body's trembling like crazy now, his hands still in his pockets. He glances down at me, and I know exactly what he's thinking. What in the history of Grover Canyon State Park, no, all of Colorado or even the entire world just happened?